Starting and growing your company is an endless series of solving problems. That's all entrepreneurship really is. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you one of the secrets I've used to take $15,000 and turn it into a 9-figure business. I'm Spencer Jan. I co-founded Solo Stove with my brother. We grew it for 10 years, then we sold it to private equity. And now I'm making YouTube videos to help and encourage other entrepreneurs just like you. If you like entrepreneurship, e-commerce, and everything in between, click on that subscribe button and join me each week as I do all I can to help you learn and grow. Here's a question that seems simple. What are you bad at? Like really bad at? Now really think about it and see if you can answer it, because I've met so many people wanting to or have already started companies who I think have a hard time answering this question honestly. And I know this keeps their business from growing the way it could. Have you ever tried to prepare for a job interview and Googled how you should answer the dreaded question, "Tell me about your weaknesses"? I'll admit, I've done it. I even remember practicing answering that question in mock interviews during a career prep course I took in college. It's always something like, I have a hard time with work-life balance, because you're trying to tell them you're gonna work a ton of hours. Or I'm overly detail-oriented, because you want them to know you're so meticulous that you won't let anything fall through the cracks. Or I have trouble saying no, because you want them to think you're gonna say yes to everything they ask of you. It's pretty dumb if you think about it, because we're training ourselves to trick people into hiring us. And in the process, we're tricking ourselves into believing that we don't really have weaknesses. And the more you don't acknowledge that you're really bad at certain tasks, the more you're probably thinking, I'm pretty good at everything. But the reality is that just because you think you are, doesn't make it true. And if I take one step further, just because you get to do something over and over, it doesn't mean you're good at it. When I was a kid, like 11 or 12 years old, I wanted to be a baseball player. I knew other kids played and every kid watched baseball. It was a cool thing. So I asked my mom to sign me up for Little League. I had never played before, and here I was starting out in fast pitch. I would watch baseball, talk baseball, and trade baseball cards. I even had my own favorite team. I saved money to buy their own cap and went to every practice and game. I wanted baseball to be my identity, but I wasn't really good at it. I figured though, if I tried really hard and worked really hard, I'd be good at it, but no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't. I always got assigned to play right field, and I could never hit the ball. In fact, when I went up to bat, I was afraid of it. Fast pitch was horrifying. I vividly remember one time I went up to bat and heard a parent from the opposing team yell to their pitcher, "Don't worry, this kid doesn't even swing. So darn mean." But you know what? He was right. I rarely swang the bat, and I knew it. I was more worried about getting hit. The culmination of my identity as a baseball player ended when, for whatever reason, the coach made me play second base. And with a runner on second base, my pitcher tried to pick him off. He turned around, winged the ball right at me, and I was not ready. I got a hard ball right to my face. I blacked out and ended up in the hospital getting stitches to my lip. It didn't matter how much I wanted to be or how much I tried. I wasn't a baseball player, period. When building your business, you need to be self-aware enough to know who you are and who you aren't, what you're good at and what you're horribly bad at. You might own the company. Good for you, good accomplishment, but don't let your ego blind you. Ego and a lack of self-awareness will get you into a whole lot of trouble. Fact. You're gonna be bad at a lot of things, probably most things. And the best thing you can do is admit it to yourself when you suck. It's so freeing to be in a position where you can openly admit that you're bad at something. Because what's the consequence? You're not getting fired, you own the company. This is why I love entrepreneurship. Now, if you work for someone else, I get it. Revealing how bad you are at certain tasks required of your job is probably a recipe to get fired, so I understand why most people act the way they do, and why people might be inclined to keep trying to do the work even when they suck at it, like me, trying to play baseball. But when you work for yourself, it should be the opposite. It needs to be the opposite. You can finally be your real self and own it. The consequence is positive, not negative. It makes the journey so much more authentic. And by knowing with clarity what you suck at, you become more self-aware. And with increased self-awareness, two things happen. And these are so important, so listen up. 1, you're able to problem solve, not solve the problem yourself. When you admit that you don't have the answer and can't solve the problem yourself, you start to look outward. You talk to other experts inside and outside your company. You assign the task to someone else better fit to work on it. You look to books, podcasts, YouTube to find good information that moves you in the right direction or maybe opens new doors. You turn to trusted friends or your outside network. Maybe you hire someone or hire an outside company to do the work. You start searching for the answer instead of trying to come up with it yourself. You know the answer is out there, and now you know your job is to search for it, not come up with it. When you realize this, your pool of resources to get problems solved suddenly gets infinitely larger, and you realize that there's no problem you're gonna face that doesn't have an answer. You just have to find it, not come up with it. 2, you allow yourself to double down on what you're actually good at. You have more time to focus on your strengths because you're not busy trying to do something you're not good at. Your strengths are the things that you dominate at. To you, these things are as easy as breathing, and you wonder why others have such a hard time understanding and doing them. You often don't think of them as your strengths because you're so good at it. When you're able to do more of what you're good at, great things will happen. Starting and growing a company is a series of solving problems. If you're self-aware enough to know your strengths, you'll be able to have more time to double down on the things that you're truly good at. And like me, you're probably really only good at just a few things. And when you're self-aware enough to know what you're bad at, which is pretty much everything else, you acknowledge this, and now you know to look outward, not inward. Search for the solution. Don't try to be the solution. Starting and running a company is an exercise in humility. And when you realize the vast majority of problems you deal with are problems that you can't solve on your own, you're on your way to unlocking the true potential of yourself as an entrepreneur. Thanks for watching this video. If it was helpful, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.